Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is the Marion City Council combined work session and official meeting for Tuesday, December 16th, 2025. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jensen.
Here.
Mr. Harper.
Here.
Mr. Miskimen. Mayor Abu Asli.
Present.
Ms. Menser. Here. Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Sternett.
Present. Okay, this time we have a moment of silence. Thank you. Our first order of business this evening, which is not on the agenda, is a presentation of a plaque to our outgoing council member, Randy Sternett. Randy, would you please just come over? So Randy, has it been 10 years? 9 years?
9 years.
9 years. I know we started at the same time, but then he had a year off and then came back. So we've served on council together for a long time, and really appreciate Randy's insight, his input, his service to the city of Marion and its residents. For this, it's a lot for any individual to dedicate that much time to making the decisions that are important to the city, and to give of your time in a basically volunteer capacity. And I think few people really realize the gravity of the responsibility that are on the shoulders of people in this position, the responsibility you take to face the community and to speak on behalf of the city and speak for the decisions that are made by the city. And you've done it well. You should be proud of your service. We really appreciate everything that you've done and your contributions. And we have a plaque for Randy, in appreciation of your 9 years of dedicated and devoted service to the city of Marion and its residents. January 2016 through November 2016, January 2018 through December 2025. And we hope you enjoyed your reception. It was sponsored by your fellow council members. We wanted you to know how valued you are.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next item is a proclamation for Human Rights Month. And my friend Etherton is here to accept it, right? Come on up, please. So Etherton is joined by other members of the Civil Rights Commission. All right. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Proclamation reads as follows: whereas Human Rights Month is observed annually in December to honor the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United States General Assembly on December 10th, 1948. And whereas the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a milestone document that proclaimed the inalienable rights to which everyone is inherently entitled as a human being, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, language, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. And whereas the Declaration is the most translated document in the world and is available in more than 500 languages. And whereas thanks to the Declaration and widespread commitment to its principles, the dignity of millions has been uplifted and the foundation for a more just world has been laid. And whereas the Declaration has stood the test of time as a testament to the enduring universality of its perennial values of equality, justice, and human dignity. And whereas the principles enshrined in the Declaration empower us all as and are as relevant today as they were in 1948. And whereas the Human Rights Month theme for 2025, human rights are everyday essentials, reaffirms the value of human rights and reminds us that human rights are essential and attainable for all people. Now, therefore, I, Nicholas Abouassili, Mayor of the City of Marion, Iowa, do hereby proclaim December 2025 as Human Rights Month and encourage residents of the City of Marion to celebrate the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and uphold the rights that protect us all, thereby promoting the kinship of all human beings.
So just a quick word from the Civil Rights Commission. So on behalf of the Civil Rights Commission, thank you for the proclamation, December Human Rights Month in our city. The proclamation is more than a symbol. It reflects Marion's commitment to dignity, fairness, and respect for all. As the Civil Rights Commission, our work is rooted in listening, education, advocacy, and partnership. And tonight's proclamation is both a celebration of progress and a call to action, challenging us to continue building a city that serves as both a beacon of light and hope, where equity is intentional and dignity is non-negotiable. So once again, on behalf of the Marion Civil Rights Commission, thank you for the leadership and for your commitment to the human rights, not just this month, but for every day.
All right. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a presentation by Steve Cooper on the status of the Stormwater Master Plan Operations and Maintenance Plan. Hi, Steve.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Steve Cooper, the Stormwater Coordinator for Marion, giving an update on the Stormwater Master Plan and specifically the Operations and Maintenance Manual that is part of that. And a little update, a little reminder that the Stormwater Master Plan is going to be a working document that will help guide our infrastructure management for stormwater infrastructure. We need to know what we are responsible for, where it is, what condition it's in, and what we have to do to maintain it. So for stormwater specifically, whether it be stormwater pipes or drainage way or detention basin, we need to know where that is, what condition it's in, what do we have to do to maintain that, whether it be a capital program to replace it entirely or operations and maintenance like routine maintenance. So that's what this operations and maintenance manual is part of, is to kind of show what we have to do on a regular basis. So the project team here from HDR and Anderson Bogert, we've got Mike Butterfield and Emily Downey from Anderson Bogert, and they will give an update on what's going on here.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mike Butterfield with HDR. So yeah, this is an update of the status of the Stormwater Master Plan. First off, in terms of where we're at in the overall timeline, we are getting close to the end. Today, we're presenting on the Operation and Maintenance Plan, and then we'll come back in the spring with an update with the final overall report. The first thing that I'm going to go through is an update that we sent out here after our last presentation in September on the Stormwater Priority Ranking Survey. This was a list of non-monetary criteria that we wanted input from council and city staff on the relative weights of a number of different criteria, and we'll use these then to score potential projects as we identify those through our hydraulic modeling. So this slide, very busy, was shown last time and was included with the survey, defining the number of different criteria that we would like to use. And so then getting to the crux of it, this is how the ranking shook out between surveys both from council members as well as from city staff. Existing infrastructure risk was the very clear top priority. From there, water quality and ecological enhancements were very clear, number 2 and 3, followed by capital cost, and then a number of others. The remaining will all be continued to use in our in our prioritization, scoring, and ranking. But certainly infrastructure, risk, and water quality are certainly the top two priorities. So as we move forward in identifying projects and starting to assess what the cost of those projects is, we'll also then factor in these non-monetary criteria to come up with an overall score and priority level. And so with that, Emily, on the O&M manual.
I'm Emily Downey, and I'm here to give an update on the O&M portion of the overall stormwater master plan. So purpose is to create a manual that will be used to educate city staff on best management practices for stormwater management, ensuring proper operation, inspection, and maintenance of the city's stormwater management system. Goal is to establish standard operating procedures so that the stormwater system continues to function as designed and to provide water quality, reduce flooding, and comply with environmental regulations. Coordination over the last 6 months, city design staff and the design team have conducted maintenance staff interviews to understand current staffing and training needs, as well as materials and equipment necessary to perform operation and maintenance tasks. Additionally, workshops were held with city staff to review the manual and have the opportunity to provide feedback. The O&M manual focuses on roles and responsibilities, defining roles to help cover inspection, maintenance, documentation, and emergency response for an effective system operation, and determining which department is responsible for what and which items get contracted out. Staff training and safety, identifying recommended certifications and training on stormwater practices and safety protocols, such as confined space entry, trench safety, and other provided courses and certifications in Iowa. And communication and coordination, establishing standards for what communication and coordination should look like when performing stormwater operation and maintenance tasks. Here is a table included in the manual for the public infrastructure inventory and what city staff is currently responsible for as of 2025. It is important to understand that these quantities will change over time as new construction occurs or if private assets become public, for example. The table is broken down into different components of the stormwater system, which each have different level of maintenance requirements. The map shown on the right there just gives a high-level overview of the city's stormwater infrastructure. Here are some of the practices that are established in the manual. First, defining recommended frequency of maintenance tasks such as mowing, vegetation management, cleaning inlets, outlets, and inspecting storm sewer pipes by televising or vacuum cleaning if necessary, which is important to prevent blockages and maintain water quality. Defining how often and when these tasks should occur, as well as what to look for when performing inspections. Communication protocols. Internal communications include maintenance staff receiving daily updates and maintaining logs while GIS tracks the asset conditions. External communications includes providing proper notification to residents for traffic, construction, and noise impacts. And safety and compliance, ensuring all O&M follows OSHA standards for confined space entry, personal protection equipment use, traffic control, and complying with MS4 permit requirements, ensuring pollution prevention and good housekeeping. The manual identifies goals and recommendations for the city to consider. First, to focus on aligning stormwater practices with the Stormwater Management Manual and an Environmental Protection Agency guidelines to ensure compliance and long-term effectiveness. Second, continue to conduct annual inspections of basins, expand mowing contracts for vegetation control as inventory changes, and set a goal to inspect 5% of the storm sewer system annually, gradually increasing up to 10% over the next several years. Third, it's recommended the city GIS mapping be enhanced to track maintenance efforts and performance metrics effectively. Lastly, it's recommended to adjust staffing with new hires and plan budget to support expanded stormwater services when appropriate. So next steps, the full stormwater master plan, as shown earlier in this presentation, will be coming in spring 2026 for review. And to reiterate from the beginning of this presentation, the objective of the overall stormwater master plan is that it will serve as a working document to guide future stormwater management projects and procedures. The document will protect and hopefully even improve public health, safety, and welfare of Marion residents because we will have identified where there are stormwater challenges and what needs to be done to improve those situations, whether it be new capital projects or routine maintenance. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Steve?
Not a question, but a comment. I think the people listening to this need to understand that this is our first ever stormwater plan. And that, I mean, I've lived in Marion since '62. So if you ever see a neighborhood or have ever lived in a neighborhood or have neighbors whose houses have had water in the basement because of stormwater issues or backups, having a plan like this at least gives me a sense that there's a better future for them, that we're going to be able to prioritize how we're going to do things, where we're going to invest the money. And then having the operations manual, Steve, for your group and the city is going to be just fantastic. So to me, this is probably long overdue, but I'm glad to see that by the spring, we're going to have it, because I think now we're going to be able to really make things happen in a more planful manner like the city of Marion likes to do.
Mike, this might be for you, I think, since you spoke to it. I was intrigued by the responses from council and staff in terms of the prioritization or ranking of the various options that we considered in that survey. Is this typical? Is this response pattern somewhat typical that you might have seen elsewhere?
Yeah, it is fairly typical. The infrastructure risk always seems to rise to the top. Water quality typically tends to be in the top three. One other that we see a lot is potential funding opportunities, potential for enhancement with or synergy with other projects. And those are also things that we can look at as we prioritize projects to see, okay, hey, there's something else going on. Maybe we should accelerate this one to get a better economy of scale.
Okay, it's just useful to know. And I was glad to see that water quality was fairly highly ranked. That's an important feature of all of this. The other question I have, maybe this is, Steve, this is for you. Did all of this work thus far provide you some inputs for us to have consideration of future budget inputs, even as early as our budget work session at the end of January?
That's ultimately what will come out of this, is maybe not a specific list of projects and what to hit first, but it's going to be kind of a bigger view, kind of like with the sanitary master plan.
Sure.
That said, hey, we now know where our choke points are. And here's what we think it's going to cost to improve on that. So this will be similar to that, to where are our trouble spots? Where are the spots that we think we want to hit first? What's a likely cost for that? And then that's the discussion for future budgets, is how are we going to, which ones are we going to hit that are our priority, and how much are they going to cost, and what can we do to have that revenue to be able to do those projects?
So we'll see those in future renditions of our CIP?
That will be that. Yes, ultimately that's part of the goal here.
In terms of just day in, day out operations and maintenance, was there any things that were illuminated that we'll have to respond to within, let's just say, the next 2 budget years?
A lot of what was identified in the modeling here, some of it was not a surprise. We know that those are the problem places, but there were a few places where we looked at the modeling and went, oh, well, we didn't know that.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of trying to figure out what's going on there and working with sewer maintenance and everybody kind of figuring out what we got to do. And again, what do we have? Where is it? What do we got to do to make sure it's working? And this is literally straightening the kinks in the pipe.
Sure. Well, I applaud this effort because we're not flying blind anymore.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I echo those remarks. this is definitely a big step in the right direction in our growing up process as a city and being more planful and more proactive about things. So appreciate all the work. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next presentation is an update on Parks and Rec fees by Seth, our Parks Director.
Mayor, Council, I'm here just to present some of the updated changes for Parks and Recreation fees. These would become effective January 1st. We do have a resolution to approve these fees. So if there's any fee that council sees that would like to see changed, amended, or tabled, we certainly have that authority to do that at that time. And then just as a reference, we did review these fees with Park Board, and they are recommended by Park Board for approval. Just to highlight some of the high-level changes within the fee schedule. So when we do these review processes, we do look at comparable cities, look at our communities within our region. We also look at our historical statistical data that we have for this. High level, we did have some fees that technology fees that we removed that are just included within rental spaces. We did add Willowwood pavilions to the schedule. We do memorial trees. We don't have a fee for plaque replacement that we added. We'll be talking about the pool moving to individual memberships, and then talking about the festival street. And then for the safe room, we're adding a nonprofit rental rate just to have a little bit more equitable, affordable rate during daytimes for like the Boy Scouts and those nonprofit groups that would take advantage of those opportunities. For pool fees, we did adjust the rates to be one, to just simplify it for the daily emissions, keeping it simple with the $5 fees instead of having the 50-cent within there. For individual pool passes, this is something we looked at a lot of our comparables. They're moving towards the individual pool passes, really just to be equitable across the board. We have non-traditional families and households, and the individual rate we saw is quite we're wanting to make that more affordable than what we looked at our comparables. It's a pretty high rate looking at the individual pass. So this really looks at those opportunities to be that we would have similar revenue moving to this model. For pool rentals, the $100 increase is really the cost recovery for us to have pool rentals there. That's included staff time, keeping the facility open. So it's really just a cost recovery measure there. Proposed park rentals fees, we're moving towards just single day fees for pavilions. This is again a comparable with other comparables. The depot moving to $200, and this is from a rate where it was, the old rate was when it was an open air pavilion, and now it's enclosed space with all the additional amenities. The 7th Avenue Street to $1,000 a day, and this is just again the rate for the full cost to close the street between parks, public works, and what the city does for that. This rate doesn't apply to like our partnered ones that we have agreements with, such as the Chamber, Uptown. We don't charge for the closure of the streets for those. For nonprofits, they do get an opportunity for or qualify for reduced rates. So Barbecue Rendezvous would be the great example. This would be for those organization, businesses, or individuals that don't qualify as a partnered or nonprofit group that wants to close a street for an event or a function. So really just capturing the true cost to close a street. And then, of course, the Thomas Park safe room. The all-day rental model, moving towards that, really it comes down to conflict with it. When we have back-to-back reservations, there's conflict with renters going beyond their time, coming in too early. This also, from a turnover standpoint, it aligns with our regional part, what everyone does regionally. And then also just a higher level of service from fewer complaints, and then also just cleaner facilities. And then this just shows some of our comparable communities and that model that they moved to, and just some of the pricing that we were working from to show the pricing that we moved to. And then the Depot Pavilion, just wanted to show the comparables there. When we looked at the proposed rate, a lot of the comparables were showing enclosed facilities between $500, $600. This is a truly unique space. There's not too many spaces that are enclosed with this size. And so really the $200 came from scaling from that capacity limit, where we recommend about 40 max for this facility, when those facilities with $500, $600 dollars to rent for the day are capacity of 100, 150 people. So that's where the reasoning came from. And that was actually a recommendation from the park board to adjust that. We originally had that at 300, and park board recommended to move that down to 200. That is what I have for the changes. Questions from council?
Questions? Steve?
Yeah, one question. I mean, I caught all the pavilions in the depot going from half-day rental to a full day. So I think you explained that very well. So that was one of the questions I had. So you did a good job of explaining why you're doing that. The one that probably caught me by surprise that I did not catch in my review is on the swimming pool passes, on why you're wanting to go from family rates to totally individual, because the life of that pool is only what, one more year, 2 max, and then you're going to, whatever happens in the future, you're going to change it again. So I don't know, I guess I don't know why we would feel like we need to change that with only a year left of that pool.
Yeah.
Our pool does not compare apples and apples to Cedar Rapids pools.
It does not, no.
It doesn't have the features, it doesn't have the slides. So it is, so if you're trying to use the same rates as Cedar Rapids, I don't know if you're trying to do that, that would be wrong.
We are not, no. So we are, the individual rate is actually similar to Cedar Rapids, and we're probably actually higher on the individual rate than Cedar Rapids currently.
Why?
And, that is a good question. I think
Again, we offer less.
We offer less.
We offer less. You can't charge more.
And this is essentially right sizing for that. It's because we have a high individual rate, so we do want to see that reduced.
On the 115?
The 115.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, and then from the family memberships, we can offer family memberships. Our current rate is that we offer it from up to 11 people, which is a lot of individuals for that. And so we do have non-traditional families that use it. We want to be equitable for everyone. And so we're suggesting the individual memberships to just reduce that rate, but also provide a little bit kind of for people to kind of do what they feel they want to do for it. Because we have the individual family with sitters passes. We really probably should have a limitation of 4 to 5 people within that family rate. So it's going to be similar to what we do for the individuals.
Okay, not sure I agree with it, but move on.
Go to Will and then back to Grant.
With the pavilion rentals, I'm curious, going from 2 a day to 1 a day, is there a lot of in the past, have there been a lot of rent of the pavilions that do get rented twice in 1 day? Are we going to cut down on, basically we're cutting in half how many times a pavilion can get rented. So my question is, how many people is that going to affect going to 1 a day versus 2 a day?
We have quite a few people that take advantage of the half a day, but I will say when they do that, they try to take advantage of more than what their time allotment is allowed. So our half a day options are from 9 to 2 and 3 to 10. And so it provides essentially a morning and an afternoon. And so that's where the conflict comes, is when people are trying to get in too early to decorate or stay too late or don't even bother to clean up after their stuff. So it is, majority of ours are half a day, but we do provide, we have some great parks with a smaller pavilions. So we talk about Prairie Hill Park, Gill, Liniger, as those small pavilion options that will also be able to take advantage. And we're also adding Willowwood to that. So our attendants are able to get to every pavilion, every park at least once a day. In our more active park, they'll get to multiple times a day. So, so yeah, there is an opportunity that we will lose some of those rentals, but with it one a day, we wouldn't necessarily lose that revenue source from it, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I'm not worried about the revenue source. It's just the inconvenience to the residents if we're cutting the amount of rentals in half. And if, I mean, it's just half. I mean, for lack of better explanation, it's just cutting it in half. So I don't know if I agree with that. I understand that you have staff that needs to go, and I understand that people are going to leave it messy. People are still going to leave it messy if they have it all day. But unfortunately, that's part of having pavilions that are rented.
And yeah, and we get to those before the rentals happen, so we're able to turn them over for that.
Yeah.
Seth, a slightly different topic. 7th Avenue Festival Street closure.
Yes.
What is the method by which we currently close it?
So I'm gonna lean on my partner over here, Mike, here, to kind of lean on him for part of the closure here. So
we stage it a day ahead of time with the detour to push them onto 6th Avenue. And then the day of, we go up there. And on the west side, we actually park a tandem axle snow truck to block that side. We ask them that they block the east side so that if fire or medical would need to get in during the event, we don't have that vehicle staffed. But we stand up regular road closed barricades, the class 3, and then have the tandem axle behind that.
Okay.
We do have something in the CIP for future discussion of putting up, instead of using the tandem axle truck, to actually have more of a device that's built for preventing people from driving into the public.
Sure. Thanks for previewing that item, because I've got that highlighted to talk about later. But so is from an equipment operator standpoint, does as well as marking for the detour, does that $1,000 represent our labor and equipment costs in order to implement this?
No, and especially with our partners. But again, if it's something that's betterment for the city, our business partners that are up there, the brick and mortar, I don't know that we'll ever fully get reimbursed for that. I mean, there's OT that we pay to set it up. There's OT to come in and tear it down.
Sure, and there's an innate cost relative to having the equipment either being deployed or being retrieved and sitting there. Okay, for some reason I'm just reacting of going from 150 to 1,000 in one fell swoop. It seems to me this proposed rate change for the closure ought to be considered in tandem with consideration of the event street closure barriers that are on that considered list for the CIP. I'm not saying I'm against any increase for the closure. I just, for whatever reason, making that jump quickly in the absence of having full closure on the potential barrier procurement. I just have a hard time teasing those apart. So I'm not sure what I'm saying here. When do we need to vote on this? This isn't hidden in our agenda
It's in the
today?
agenda right now, but if there's items that you'd like to see tabled or amended, and that goes for, with the pavilions or anything like that too, we can certainly have more discussion.
And I guess Councilman Harper, I do want to bring up, I don't know that we've had anybody that's not a partner that's closed it that I'm aware of for Seventh Avenue. We've had some that have asked, but they've always been the chamber or something, so then it's, we're not charging them for that. Or if it's the barbecue rendezvous, we're charging them half that.
Mhm.
So this is if, say, you decide you want to have a party and you're going to close Seventh Avenue, we want to make sure that it's enough to deter that a little bit.
Didn't you get my order for closure tomorrow because we're partying because
Denied.
Mr. Skrnick's going on the council?
Okay, Sarah?
Okay, thank you.
Seth, overall, for all of the different fees and the changes, have we forecasted out? Is this a net neutral for the budget? Is there an increase as we've looked at what this does? Have we taken taken the whole piece together and said, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, we've been net neutral. I would say there's some fees that we're projecting that we would probably gain from, especially with moving to, the street, probably not even the street closure because it's mostly our partners, but it's most of it's just is net neutral. The depot is the only one that's really kind of a new fee that's from a big change that we expect. And that's probably more or less to the demand that we're seeing from the depot. So
How much of this, I guess we could talk about this in our budget meetings next month, but how much, if you put this all together, do these cover the cost of the actual work, if that makes any sense? Like, are we covering our own costs on these fees? Or does this get supplemented? Not even close. Okay, I mean, I'm looking at the pool, and I know this
Yeah,
was a
the
big
pool-
discussion on this, and I know what pools cost. We have 4 of them that we manage and about to do 6. So I know the cost of the pools, and there's no way that covers an aging pool.
it's not gonna cover. We cover about 50%. We do have about a 50% recovery cost for the pool currently, and it's gonna be similar. And we're trying to make extra efforts to do more promotional events and nights to bring more. Obviously, daily admission is a huge push for it. Most of our audiences are either 65 and older. We have a lot of water walkers, lap swimmers, and then it's the daycares, the younger kids and families.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, I know that pools are never going to
No.
rarely make money. I mean, it's how much you lose.
And the advantage
What about skate loops?
yeah.
If I could just add to
Ice
answer
loops.
your question, Sarah, we are not fully recovering on any of these at this point. They are small increases. The ROI, you're asking about the ROI, and that is even a bigger conversation that we'll have over this next budget year as well. Those are things that we've been talking about internally from all of Park and Rec programs is what is that ROI? Where are we at? And what percentage are we for cost recovery? What percentage are we good with? That will be a council decision as we develop those along the way. So you'll hear more and more about this, but none of what we're charging or recommending to charge is still not, it's not a full recovery, and it's not half of a recovery. So it's much less.
Okay, thank you. And I had something else, but it has now escaped me, so I'm sure if I think of it, I'll track you down.
Yes, and if I could just add just a little bit more to what Seth has said, Grant, this is part of pertaining to the $1,000 for the festival fee. Some of the other things that we're slowly factoring in is the electrical services that we have installed and will need to install. The more that we do these little festivals, more people are wanting more electrical outlets. They're wanting to see that 120 or sometimes even bigger. So those are some things that we're factoring in to these costs. But again, it's not a full recovery. So it's also a planning for the future, not just for what we're doing, what we have available right now. There's more to come with that as we get more requests for those festivals.
Okay, Will had something and then come back to
Yeah, back to the pavilions. Um, has there ever been a deposit that's been put down or thought about doing a deposit on a pavilion for that case where someone might leave it a mess and?
We haven't done deposits. Typically, we do deposits for alcohol, for an alcohol permit. Is typical for that. But it's also, we certainly could look into doing that, but we haven't done it for the cleanliness. Typically, we do have everything on record for them, and we'll typically note that into future reservations. So,
I was just trying to think of ways if you could leave it at a half a day. Or maybe not all the pavilions could have to go to all day. Maybe some could be half day, like, because I'm sure the ones at Thomas are the ones that get used the most.
yeah, and those are the one, Thomas and Lau are the two that are that have probably the 85% of usage there. So
Grant?
Yeah, just a comment. I've read over the agenda a couple different times and I'm not seeing that this is presented as a resolution for today's action.
it would be under schedule of fees under administrative, not under parks.
What's under that one?
Yeah.
That schedule of fees includes some other fee changes to that entire schedule in addition to the parks fees presented.
Okay, it's A8.
Oh, that's where it is.
Your Honor, I guess I'm just wondering if there aren't enough residual questions about this that we delay it to our earliest convenience. Oh, well, you want these to go into effect on January 1st, right?
Yes, but we can also, if council's not comfortable with approving these, we can wait till the first meeting in January too. So,
But I think as long as it's clear what the concerns are,
Yeah.
so that Seth knows what to go back and work on. So do you have an idea what the
I
concerns
think
are?
I have an idea.
Okay.
The pavilion street closures, and the aquatic center, or not the aquatic center, the Willowwood pool.
Pool, okay.
Apologize. Yeah.
Anything he's missing? Okay, go ahead.
With the street closure, do we have any comparables that have a festival street that?
We've looked at Iowa City. I'll have to go back. We had our event coordinator pulled together comparable, so I would have to look back at that data. But we did look at comparables, and typically for like Iowa City, they don't charge their partners, and usually it's just their partners that their chamber district, their downtown district that does stuff up there. So.
Iowa City the only one that does have a festival?
There's not many.
No, there's.
I know.
Not many
I can't
to
even.
compare to.
But it is also a reflection of trying to reflect our true cost too, for those. So.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I guess when we get to that part of the agenda, someone can make a motion to table that if they wanted to.
We would want you to actually amend it because recall it also has fees for library, police and planning that have been previously presented.
Oh.
So you would
Amend
want,
it to remove the park fees,
correct.
parks portion of it, okay. Well, the parks and rec portion of the motion. Okay.
Right.
Is that okay, Seth?
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Seth. Next item on the agenda is our first public forum. Public forum is the time that's set aside for comments from members of the public. There are two public forums. There's one at the end of the meeting for any topic. The first one at this time is for items that are listed on the agenda but not part of a public hearing. If anyone has any comments regarding an item that's part of a public hearing, there will be time for comments during the public hearing. I would like to review the public forum rules of procedure. Please, if you intend to address the council, please fill out the yellow card at the end of the table and hand it to the city clerk before you speak. Please do not approach the dais where the council is sitting. If you have handouts for the council, please give them to the city clerk for distribution to the council. Once you're called forward, please step up to the podium and speak into the microphone as the meetings are recorded. You are encouraged to state your name and any group affiliation. All persons wishing to speak will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to make their comments. Please do not make any disparaging remarks regarding any individual, but keep your comments pertinent to the topic at issue. Please do not engage in conduct or speech that is imminently threatening to any person or which incites violence or which is obscene. Please avoid repeating comments or points made by previous speakers. Please do not engage in conduct that disrupts the orderly progress of the meeting or engage in speech or conduct which interferes with others' ability to participate in the meeting. And failure to adhere to these guidelines or engaging in any disruptive speech or behavior will, after a warning, result in removal from the meeting. Appreciate everyone's cooperation in adhering to these rules of procedure. Public forum is now open. If anyone is here to address council on any topic that is on the agenda but not part of a public hearing, please step forward. Okay, seeing no one's coming forward, we'll close this part of the meeting, proceed to the consent agenda. Mr. Sternad.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Harper, you gave me the opportunity to flaw this last resolution for myself. It was going to be read beautifully and smoothly. So Mayor, at this point, I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. This will be items A1 through A7, resolutions 32661 through 32663, resolutions also 32664, which will be B1 through F1, ending in 32674.
And you did want 32663?
Are we
okay.
calling that to be amended?
Okay. All right, it's been moved and seconded.
Let's second it.
What's that?
Second it.
Oh, okay. Well,
It can be read separate.
yeah, it should, yeah, it's all right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Right? Okay, now discussion. If anyone wants to amend it to,
Okay.
I guess,
Okay.
Well, it's not on the
Should've-
table though.
should have been done. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, just to be clear, I think you recited that A8 was included. And I think what you need to do is
Yeah.
remove A8,
Right, and then vote on it
And then-
separately and amend it.
move to amend it. Yes. So I think you should probably start over.
Didn't you leave it out?
I did leave
I was-
resolutions 32663 out intentionally. That is A8. That was
Okay, that was your
omitted from my
intention.
reading.
Okay,
He read that resolution 32663 was included. So
right.
could we just start over
Start
and
over.
just say A1 through A7? And you don't need to say the
I'll
rest.
get an
Very-
extra cookie at the end.
Very good. Be happy to do that. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. This will be items A1 through A7 and B1 through F1.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda, items A1 through A7 and B1 through F1. Now, discussion on that motion? Oh, wait, was it seconded? Yeah. it's moved, Okay. Discussion on that motion. All right. All those in favor of approving the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. Now,
Mayor, I move to approve resolutions number 32663, amending the schedule of fees, bonds, and insurance effective January 1 through 2026, amending to remove.
let's make the motion first and then we'll amend it.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Move to approve resolution 32663, amending the schedule of fees, bonds, and insurance effective January 1, 2026.
Second.
Okay, now it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 32663. Discussion. Now somebody can amend. Go ahead.
Yeah, Your Honor, I move or request that on resolution 32663, that we remove those items that concern parks and recreation fees. And that we table those items.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend the motion to remove all items pertaining to Parks and Recreation Department. Any discussion on the amendment? Okay, all those in favor of amending the motion to remove all items pertaining to Parks and Recreation, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, so now the motion has been amended. The motion now is to approve resolution 32663, amending schedule of fees, bonds, and insurance effective January 1st, 2026, except for all items in the resolution pertaining to Parks and Rec. Discussion on the amended motion. Okay, all those in favor of the amended motion 32663, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion is approved. Thank you.
Randy, mine will be much easier. Mayor, I move.
For the next section, I will turn over the meeting to the Deputy Mayor Pro Tem.
Deputy Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abu Osley's abstention. This will include items E1 and E2 and resolution numbers 32675 and 32676.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with the mayor's abstention, items E1 to E2, resolutions 32675 and 32676. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Are there any abstentions?
Aye.
Keep it for next, please. Okay. All right, move on to administrative services on the regular agenda. We have a public hearing on a proposed development agreement with Squaw Creek Crossing, Inc. Public hearing is open. Is there anyone? Are you have a presentation?
For a presentation, just want to provide a little bit of history on this one. There was an original development agreement for the entire East Town Crossing development back in August 3rd of 2017. In April of 2023, we did split out the 4 parcels that you can see highlighted. Since that time, and we entered an MOU with a memorandum of understanding with the similar incentives to keep the developer whole as part of that process. So the image in front of you, the blue is where the hotel is. So we've had that agreement come forward to City Council already. The Freddy's Steakhouse Burger came forward to City Council already. We are now looking at the parcel that is starred, and that will leave just one remaining in the memorandum of understanding. So the tax increment finance incentive being offered is a 12-year sliding scale with a maximum of $625,000. This is it's essentially 2 restaurants in the building. I will say that Mike Esker from Squaw Creek Crossing is here for any questions and for the public hearing.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to address the council on this proposed development agreement on Squaw Creek Crossing? Please come forward. Have we had any comments, received any comments?
I have not received any.
You have not.
I have not either.
That we will close the public hearing and move on to the resolution.
Yes. Mayor, Deputy Pro Tem, I move to approve resolution number 32677, approving development agreement with Squaw Creek Crossing Incorporated, authorizing annual appropriation, tax increment payments, and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 32677. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. And we have a motion carries with one abstention. Okay. Back to the mayor. Mayor, move to approve resolution number 32678, approving a bookmobile hold harmless with Marion Four Oaks.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 32678. Resolution 32678, approving the bookmobile hold harmless agreement with Marion Four Oaks. Discussion. All those in favor of approving resolution number 32678, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. Moving on to the other department discussions. We have discussion regarding the fiscal year 26-27 budget, the CIP. Brian McKenzie.
Good afternoon, evening, is it 5? I'm not sure if it's afternoon or evening. So good afternoon, evening, Mayor and Council. This is our second touch point in the capital improvement program discussion with the fiscal year 27 budget process for the years covering fiscal year 27 through 31. So we had a presentation and the packet was presented at the November meeting. And so that gave about 4 to 5 weeks to kind of a chance for the council to kind of digest the projects. And this is, we're presenting the staff recommendation again here. So your color-coded list that's in front of you and that's in your packet as a refresher. We're looking for some feedback and direction on these projects. To then formulate and update the draft plan, working with DA Davidson. So this is one chance, and then also there'll be another chance at the budget work session at the end of January. So multiple touch points. It's a process that hopefully should look familiar at this stage. We've been doing this for a few years now. And then working towards adoption in March, or the March-April timeframe. So just to summarize some key points, the existing CIP projects that are already adopted, there's always estimates and changes and timing. So those are in the existing draft, and the updates total of about 5 million over a 6-year timeframe, including this year. So that's in your packet. Staff is recommending those stay in there. And then the difference from this year is, or one of the big differences, we're actually recommending that we do not bond next spring for our fiscal year 27 projects. Just due to timing of projects, responsible stewards of taxpayers' dollars, we thought that this was a good year to kind of forego bonding, focus on maintaining our existing infrastructure, and just kind of preserving that financial flexibilities for future projects. One thing that is worth noting there, when it says the unallocated 4.5 million between fiscal year 27 and 31, that number does include if you do choose to bond. So if the staff recommendation of not bonding is a way that we go, that would drop to about 2.5 million. I just want that to be clear. So that 4.5 is if we did potentially bond. So if that's clear, we can ask if there's any questions on that as we get into the presentation. This is just a high-level summary of the recommended projects in the draft, totaling 117 million. And then the ones that we're not recommending for funding right now at 113 million. So with the not bonding recommendation, we did want, we had DA Davidson do some analysis. So firstly, so this is on our debt capacity. I know it's quite hard to see, but I'll explain. So the blue solid bars on the x-axis, that is our existing geo debt each fiscal year. The green kind of slices you'll see starting in 28. That's planned issuances of geo debt for our projects in future years. This scenario is scenario 1, which is not bonding for fiscal year 27. So that orange line that you see at the top, that is our legal debt limit. That's the 5% of our taxable valuation across the whole city. That's the state limit. And then the blue line you'll see is our self-imposed internal debt limit, which is 50% of the state limit. So you'll see that we are stretching out. We're still quite significantly underneath those two limits. So then with scenario 1 also, this is our debt service levy projections. And so again, this is with not bonding in 27. The blue and the green bars represent the same, even though it's a debt service levy dollar amount on the left, it does still represent our existing projects, and then the green is the planned projects. And so you'll see that the orange line here represents our current debt service levy rate as of fiscal year 26. And you'll see that without bonding, it stays fairly steady in this scenario. So scenario 2 is if we did choose to bond, typically we try to average about $5 million a year in bonding. If we do bond, that's what we've been doing. And hard to see on this graph with the scale, but there is a jump in those bars, but still under our self-imposed debt limit. This one you can kind of see clear what the impact would be if we did bond in 27, that the debt service levy would potentially jump above the current year's rate. I know that's kind of some things to digest there. Is there any questions before we go on to the project discussion regarding
questions?
These last few slides?
This portion? No, I think it's pretty clear.
So in your pocket, you'll see the green projects. So these are new projects that we are proposing to layer on to our existing adopted CIP projects. And they're also highlighted in green in the master CIP spreadsheet. So they're up here. It's worth noting that there is one addition since the November discussion, and that is the 31st Street and 29th Avenue mini roundabout. So we were successful in our application for TSIP funding. So this project is an $800,000 estimated project with a local share of $300,000, and we secured a $500,000 TSIP grant from the Iowa DOT. So that's the reason that this jumps into green grant funding. Obviously, as staff, we're recommending to take advantage of that. And we also did receive another project that was in the adopted CIP that we did also receive $460,000, right? So good news on that front. So this is the staff recommendation for projects. And then this list here is the ones that maybe we've heard about, council have maybe talked about before. So these are the ones that we put our council hat on and say, okay, for your consideration, is there any of these projects that you might want to have a discussion over and give some direction on if you see that these might want to be a higher priority? I'm saying that these are up for discussion too. There's also, it's not a slide, but there is the projects that we're not recommending for moving forward at this point is in gray on your list. And so at this stage, open it up to questions. I will rely heavily on the experts for each of the projects that are here tonight to discuss, so. Over
I'll
to-
start. The Gill Park playground replacement, that's, that's closed currently, the playground, because the equipment failed.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we did remove the structure. We do have swing sets that in a slide that's currently there, but the
Play structure.
the play structure was removed for safety concerns.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know what the thoughts are about that project being, you know, for a neighborhood park. I don't know, but it's just, I just wanted to bring that out for people to think about. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Well, on that one, Your Honor, several times throughout the summer, at the farmer's market, people had commented to me about just the condition and of Gill Park. And it seemed to me, at least just that sampling, there was a community concern about it. I don't know what other inputs we've received from the neighborhood. But I certainly, if that's completely out of, and this is one I had highlighted for myself, if there's elevated concern, maybe we ought to move that into the executable list. Seth, have you all gotten feedback from the neighborhood about that? Would that be a yes?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going to piggyback on all that, not to be repetitive, but I have had a number of residents reach out to me about that, asking when that would be replaced. So I concur with my colleagues on that. I'd love to see some, the ability to move that up into a completion,
So
get that done.
the 450,000, is that for this, just the one structure, or is that for the entire park, or?
It's for the structure, but it's also the site work around the structure. So we are moving to the more inclusive surfacing, which
Yeah, oh, yeah,
so.
okay.
Especially when I think about, because I was thinking of this, while the Lau Park playground is up a little ways from this, there's really, that's kind of it till you get into all the way down to Novak, right? And I see how busy that playground at Lau Park is all of the time. It maybe could take some pressure off that if that neighborhood park in Gill Park had some structures in it, maybe. So anyway, thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I guess I was not aware that some of that equipment had been removed and was not operational. Also, Gill Park also has a splash pad. Is the splash pad still operational?
Yes, it is. Some of the dollars would go to replacing the surfacing for the splash pad, just because of the life expectancy is wearing away on it. So.
Yeah, I think that's another reason I would also support what the rest of you were talking about, because if you look at the number of splash pads we have around the city, you know, we have one at Thomas Park. We now have one in the plaza, and this is basically the splash pad for the north side of Marion. So I think that gives some other credence on why you'd want to probably continue improve or invest in improvement for Gill Park. So I would support that as well.
Well,
Couple things. First off, you mentioned the other award for this TSIP. That was for the 44th and 100 intersection, correct?
Yeah, the offset, right?
And it's not in here because because it's completely funded by TSIP?
So it was in the active CIP. It was an adopted project, but we just received funding.
So we don't need it in here anymore because of the funding.
So these are new projects. Since it was already in there.
It was, oh, gotcha.
So we
Gotcha,
just,
gotcha, gotcha.
so we updated
Yeah,
the grant number.
Okay,
in the
thank you.
existing, yeah.
And then,
so can I just quickly on that? Didn't the funding cover all of that, or pretty much all of it? So will that money be redirected to something else? Or the money that was in the CIP?
So when we look at the overall projects and what changed, it's kind of that overall picture. So that's what we're kind of moving around. So if one project changes,
Okay,
go down,
so that would
another one goes up.
cover some of this additional stuff here.
So that's that 5 million, what I mentioned, that were overall changes, increases, because some go up, some go down. But overall, generally across the whole CIP, it goes up. So that's incorporated into those changes for the existing projects,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Thanks. Lau Park Art Pond Development. Why is that in the green right now? What's the demand or the need for that?
So this is part of the Lao Preserve development. So this is actually the
East Side Pond.
stormwater that would
Yeah.
be existing onto park property. So this is
So
a
they're
shared
part of the
vendor with-
development.
Yes.
Gotcha, because I was gonna say that could be a good thing to flip flop with Gill Park, but if that's part of the stormwater for that development. Plus, without looking through everything in the gray, is there anything in the CIP for fixing the pond that's currently at Lau?
Not in this gray here.
Not in this at all. It's not anywhere in the CIP. So you don't have any plans for that right now?
Go ahead, Steve.
One other item in the gold bracket, I'd like to get at least some discussion or maybe get a little more information about. And that is the City Hall parking lot repairs for $200,000. I meant to come up and walk around it and through it, and unfortunately, I never got that step considered. The reason I want to have maybe a little more discussion about that is we keep talking about the uptown parking. We don't know exactly what direction that's going to go, but we do know that the City Hall parking lot is not just used for city employees on an 8 to 5 basis. It's used at nights, it's used on weekends, and it's used for all the events. It's used by Vernon parents, so it's used all the time. So I guess who's got the best assessment of whether that should be improved? Because I think it's one of those things that we want to make sure that parking lot is in good shape because it's used, substantially more than a lot of people probably expect. So who's got the information on what the condition of that is and whether that can hold off for another year or two? Because it's not a huge amount, so.
So if you look at it in the daytime, there's some storm sewer, for example, in the north of where the garden center is over here. There's some storm sewer that then goes diagonal, and you can see there's cracking that's randomly happening over that. All the pervious pavers, I don't think any of them are pervious anymore.
Okay.
So they probably all need to be brought up, the rock redone, clean rock put back in, the pervious pavers put back in. So there's just, it's similar to the City Hall renovation that we're doing. The parking lot was built in 06 as well, so it needs some TLC.
With no maintenance.
Yeah, that's the only one the one out of that list that I would consider adding to the dollar amount is not substantial, but yet, given the amount of use it has, I think it would have the benefit of it. So I would throw that out for consideration to my other city council members for input.
Go ahead, Grant.
Well, on that point, the question that I had relative to the City Hall parking lot is, are there any imperfections there that give us concern from a risk management standpoint, a mobility standpoint? Mike, you cited the condition of the permeability of the pavers. But I'm just wondering too, if this is being used substantially during off-hours public events, do we just have a risk profile there that we need to remediate?
So I don't know if there's necessarily a safety improvement that needs to occur. It was a couple of years ago, like the sidewalk that connects the south side to the north side, that was replaced. So those issues, as we see them, those will get addressed. But it's overall just improvements to the parking lot.
Because some of the things you'll notice is not so much a safety issue at the moment, but you'll notice how if you look at the parking spaces, they're starting to dip down. So then you've got that pool of melting water, ice, those types of things. And as Mike is talking about it's not really pervious anymore because it's not flowing away. And one of the things we definitely need to do a better job is maintaining that, because that is something that about every 5 years we really should be doing, adding more those little gravel pieces to it and making sure that the pavers are at the level that they need to be. So there's just a lot of, essentially, we're starting over. And then you'll notice as you come up how the concrete is breaking away from the entryway. You'll notice that too as you're walking up towards that. So those are just some of those things that definitely need attention to it. It's when can we give it the attention that it needs?
Great. Yeah. Well, closing off on that, I'd be aligned with Steve's comment about it. I think maybe giving that more consideration and making it actionable would be useful. The only other item that I really have is the event street closure barriers. And again, that's in the total scheme of things, relatively small dollars. It just seems to me we've had a lot of consideration around securing that area during street-based events. And I can only imagine as the plaza and Broad and Main on 6 gets buttoned up, we're going to have more and more interest for events in that area. It just seems to me, from a risk mitigation standpoint, I think we should accelerate getting closure barriers procured and figure out how we operationalize those versus moving big trucks all the time. So
What are they? Can you describe those for us?
Sure. So they're kind of hard to describe, but imagine a barricade that when you hit it, it kind of makes your car tumble. And it's hard. We have great videos. I can send you guys a video of it. The ones that we looked at. And then what they're done is they're chained together. And then in the middle, there's actually a gate. So we can lift up the gate so that if fire or EMS needed to get in, we could open the gate for them to let them in and out versus having to move vehicles or a tandem truck. They are used in other areas. There's options to lease or rent or to buy. And so there's several different solutions out there. Some are not as family friendly. They have barbed wire or sharp edges that we didn't really want to go towards that military side of it. But these are they're orange. We could put our logos on them. But they are barriers that will stop cars.
So I'm assuming we've done the analysis on whether or not it's worth renting or buying, considering how many times they may be used in a year.
Yeah, we looked into the opportunity to rent these and the frequency that we would use them for 7th Avenue. And these are designed for special events. These are used in a lot of major cities, a lot of major events from sports events, ADA access. So these are for those specific reasons to cut out that risk mitigation.
Steve?
Can you send us pictures or a video of these things and what they look like? Another question. They seem very expensive for what the picture I have in my mind. $275,000 seems like a lot of money for what I picture as barriers.
If I recall, they came on 2 semis, basically. We unload them, set them up. So it's not like it's a small amount of barricades.
Yeah, well, we could send you the full package. It's a full trailer unit, and it's for the 7th Avenue streets, but also enough to cover the 11th Street whenever it's finished to the entry into the plaza.
If I can, just this particular item was researched by a committee comprised of staff and members from the chamber, so police department, public safety, parks chamber, to look at it just as popularity of the roads, the streetscape is completed. The chamber has been activating it a lot more. We have had some inquiries from residents about security. So for the better part of a year, the staff has been looking at this, and So I think the background helps as to how we got here. We'll certainly follow up and send an email. And Mike said we got some videos, so we can share that with council as well.
Anything else? On the lower priority list, I'm assuming that, I guess, I'm sure that staff has determined that these can wait, or they're not, that's why they're low priority. My only question is, land acquisition for Fire Station 4 is, how far out is that in terms of us needing to even think about Fire Station 4? So, and a lot of times you need to think way ahead of that to have the land available.
The focus is really about relocating Fire Station 3. That's the priority. Certainly with the updated comp plan and doing some analysis, we're keeping an eye on that, so that the future of a Fire Station 4 is not set aside. We're continuing to analyze to figure out where is it best to be placed. So that's part of the battle. And then obviously council's fully aware of all the discussions at the State House. So even if we are to be able to construct a fourth fire station, the ability to fund the staff to occupy that station is going to be the other part of the equation. But it's something that's we talk about on a regular basis. Probably I would anticipate maybe next year or the year after we'd have a much better idea in terms of location. And but Fire Station 3, that is the main priority at this point.
That will happen before Fire Station 4. That will happen before Fire Station 4.
Yes, that's the goal.
Okay. Anyone else? Did you have anything else, Brian?
No, so I just wanted to kind of summarize what we've heard. So there'll be a follow-up with the event closure body, but there's that could be a possible green as we're working on the model and the draft for the work session, City Hall parking lot repairs, and Gill Park replacement. Those are the three that I kind of heard to look at for modeling. Is that accurate?
Okay.
Do you want to close?
Was there something else?
Oh, okay, sorry. Next slide. Thank you, Ryan. Last slide. I touched on it earlier, but I have another slide, so I may as well talk about it. So with this feedback and direction, there'll be another touch point. We will formulate the draft, the budget work session at the end of January. More feedback and input is always welcome. And then we will work towards the adoption in April. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Next up is Mike Semprich.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm here to speak with you tonight and have a little discussion and review where we're at with the current implementation of the urban reforestation plan. As many of you know, the plan was adopted about a year ago in September 2024. That really put a planning component in place for us to start looking at about a 10-year plan on how we would diligently reforest and continue planting our community. Before the derecho and about 5 years ago, coming out of some of the different tree loss scenarios that we went through with emerald ash borer and storm incidents, we had approximately 19% canopy across the community. And that urban reforestation plan not only looked at restoring some of that lost canopy due to those different scenarios, but it also provided us with a goal to increase canopy across the community. We're currently planting about 1,000 trees a year, but we've been trending quite a bit above 1,000 trees over the last 5 years. And we've established a strong foundation for long-term canopy expansion. All throughout this process, we've acknowledged, because of thousands of new trees going in, we've seen the importance or the need for young tree maintenance, which is a priority so that we can ensure these young trees develop into healthy, good conditioned, mature trees. Adolescent pruning's critical as part of that. And so tonight, what we're really seeking is council direction on what that planting pace will look like as we move forward with an emphasis on increasing maintenance. This is a graph showing what tree plantings look like over the past 10 years. 2016 is the first year that we staffed our urban forestry division, and we were doing anywhere from 150 to 500 trees, really staying below that 500 range up until 2020. You can see a dramatic increase there after 2020. Up until this year, we backed our planting down a little bit this year to about 1,000 trees. And the reason you see that significant increase, I'm sure you can all surmise, but we had a significant loss in our canopy due to storms and pests. And so we had a huge emphasis on reforestation. We also had a huge awareness of urban canopy in the area because of the derecho storm. And then we also saw a significant increase in grant funding, partnership opportunities, and just available opportunities to plant more trees in the community. That 10-year plan that we've adopted talks to about 40,000 trees being new trees installed in the community over that 10-year timeline. And that speaks to not only public spaces, right-of-way plantings and parks, but it also identifies the private collaboration as a critical component. For every one tree we can plant in the right-of-way, you can plant anywhere from 2 to 3 on private property. And so the goal coming out of that plan is about 30% canopy coverage. That's kind of a state standard. And the plan actually gave us a 35% option if we can look for opportunities to engage that private sector, private perspective on more plantings in the community. From this plan, we put together a strategy that includes planning, prioritization, policy, and partnerships. And through that strategy, we can seek to develop creative ways to increase planting outside of just what our staff plant, while keeping that perpetual maintenance in mind. To go into that strategic approach a little more detailed, the planning component of that really is the urban reforestation plan itself. We're working with Tree Board to prioritize areas of the community and other staff and departments to identify areas where we can get the most longevity and the most benefit and value from those new trees going in. We're also looking at a couple different approaches with existing policy. We can strengthen the standards that we have existing currently, but we can also increase requirements for new development. And that includes not only right-of-way trees in new development, but potentially the number of plantings required on private property when we accept those planning designs. And then lastly, partnerships is something that we've known all along is a huge benefit to our efforts, but strengthening what we have currently, looking to expand with new partners, and then also engaging that private partner component with not only planting, but maintenance going forward. This is just kind of a rough map of what we're looking at prioritizing for planting in the next fiscal year, including spring of 26. There's an area that we're working in currently in kind of the northeast segment of town there, highlighted that we still have yet to address. Our tree board has identified kind of in general, it's funny when we go through this with tree board because places that I see the need, they see very similarly. And also places that the plan prioritizes are also places that seem to be common areas that are identified through just board and staff time when we look for these things, gaps and things like that. The neighborhood up on the north and west side there is just adjacent to Linn-Mar, and it's a slightly older neighborhood, but has quite a bit of potential for new plantings. There was some storm loss in that area, but really it's more of a potential for new plantings type of location that we're looking at, along with its close neighborhood area adjacent to a lot of school zones. The urban reforestation plan calls out McGowan Boulevard entirely as a prioritized area. But recently this year, we've had some feedback from residents, and through our traffic advisory committee, we've identified to prioritize the segment from 35th Street to the east to 44th Street to try and encourage some traffic slowing practices there by planting more trees in the right of way. I think that entire effort could expand along the entire stretch of McGowan Boulevard. And then lastly, in the lower region of that map, there's kind of a darker blue or a more bolder street line, and that indicates the plantings that we'll be installing in spring of 2026 with the CDBG grant funding that we've received. And that's over 1,100 new plantings going into those neighborhoods in there as well. Those will be contracted. So through that process and planning, and with that strategy or strategic approach that we're taking, we're really trying to identify what pace we want to continue forward with. We've worked with finance to put together 3 different models, and I just want to speak to each one individually and then kind of give you the idea of what our recommendation is. But I did want to indicate that every single one of these models includes a new proactive maintenance program. And what we're seeing is that increase for young tree maintenance because new trees going in. That's something, depending on the model and our approach, we can absorb with staff. But we are seeing a little bit of a stretch on time and our capacity to get to things more proactively. And for good management, that's really what we need moving forward, despite planting efforts, is that we have some type of proactive maintenance in place for mature canopy. And so we incorporate that into each one of these models. In model 1, this would be kind of a low intensity approach. We would reduce that 1,000 trees a year target down to about 250 internally. We would do no contractual planting. That would raise the urban forest utility fee about 50 cents a year for the next 10 years. The current rate is $4.50 for that utility fee. And at the end of that 10-year duration, the rate would be at about $9.50 a month. I do note that at that lower intensity, the duration it would take for us to reach that approximately 40,000 tree goal is more than 100 years out. So it is quite a bit of a step back from where we're currently planting. Model 2, we have about 250 in-house, 750 additional plantings that would go in each year, but we would contract that out and work partner with the private sector to help us in those efforts. That shortens the duration down to about 25 years, approximately 40% of that plan approach. That does create a little bit more of a utility fund increase or utility fee increase in the first couple of years, FY 27 and 28. But then that levels out from FY 30 beyond to about 36 from about 25 cents a month. As far as internal impacts go, there wouldn't be anything initially in that, but because of that increase or continued increase in plantings, we'd have to reevaluate sometime in the next 3 to 5 years for potential changes. And then lastly, that Model 3 is kind of the one that models the urban reforestation plan the most. That's 750 trees that we would continue doing in-house with staff. And then we would contractually partner for about 1,300 trees in the next fiscal year. But we would aggressively increase that number of contractual trees by 300 every year for the first 8 years of that duration. That reduces that timeline down to about 10 years, but it does bring us to a higher final utility rate of $11.50 a month, looking like about $1 annual increase throughout that. This model number 3, does include some staff resource increases as well, just because the sheer number of or volume of trees in that model, we would have to increase for maintenance on new tree and planting and kind of all the above. So looking through all that, I have to say I personally like Model 3. Because of all the planting, it really matches the plan. But with responsible discussion amongst us and staff, I think we would like to recommend Model 2, just because it keeps that rate a little more moderate, and it doesn't necessarily stretch the duration of that timeline for reforestation out quite as long as Model 1. Just a quick couple of details more specific to that maintenance, and I think I mentioned it, but staff would really focus that decrease in planting back down to 250 internal would free up resources for our staff to focus on that young tree canopy maintenance, which is critical. And then we would continue to partner with our existing contractor to extend a new maintenance program out for that proactive component. And that proactive component, the cost in the last slide was built off of about 20% of our mature canopy, putting us in a 5-year cyclic program. So we would essentially touch every tree in the community every 5 years. As far as next steps go, we're here tonight having this conversation. Your next touch point on this would be with the budget work session review in January. As I mentioned, the policy amendments earlier, we're currently working on the right-of-way tree requirement. And so we'll be coming back with more information on that early in 2026. And then whatever type of pace we propose to move forward with, we would see those utility fee changes July 1st. And then we would replicate this process going forward in future annual years so that we can review, evaluate, and make a recommendation. And pretty much anything in those paces as far as tree numbers is kind of adjustable based on the pace we agree on. And so pending your feedback and direction, we can really refine and analyze those things in a lot more detail once we have that direction. Are there any questions?
Ready for questions? Sarah?
Out of curiosity, I know we're talking a lot about planting, and then you've referenced mature tree canopy and the young tree canopy and how many we've planted all over it. We've seen like the little sticks, and know that someday they will be great trees. How much, like, where does it go from being the young planting to being what we consider the mature?
Yep.
As far as that, and then how much we planted all of these, and then you've talked about we'll touch point on as many as we can. Like, what's the loss rate?
Yeah. That's a good question. So young trees or young through adolescence is kind of what we're focusing, our attention on, because when trees are young and you make a pruning cut, it's a very small wound and the tree can recover from that very quickly and continue development. If you have a 40 or 50-year-old tree and you want to remove a 10 or 20-inch diameter limb, you're putting a tremendous amount of damage or wound into that tree and opening up vectors for disease and things like that to decay and shorten the lifespan of that. So we really prioritize that adolescent pruning. It's not more important than mature tree pruning, but it's important while they're young because we can't make some of those changes 25 and 30 years down the road. Typically, we're talking a tree diameter of about, from little twig trees, 1 inch. We're pruning on those sometimes. It's not a lot, but we do prune on those every few years. And then from that diameter all the way up to like a 15-inch diameter trunk, which would be, if I'm hugging a tree, it would be just inside me touching my hands together on the other side. So adolescent gets to a pretty large size tree. Anywhere from life age from 15 to 25 years could be adolescence. And as far as size or height, just sheer spatially, an adolescent tree at 15 years old can be 25, 30 feet tall and just as wide. And so we're looking at a pretty large percentage of that maintenance coming on in-house. And then the mature maintenance would be less frequency, but something that's important just because of identifying hazards, broken limbs, damage, and things like that.
Maybe you covered this. So what is the percentage with us? How much of ours is mature percentage and how much of us is the adolescent to young percentage as far as our tree canopy now after the derecho and storms?
Yep, we lost about 40 to 45% canopy. So we are essentially starting with about 40% of our existing canopy as young stick trees. And so it's anywhere from 40 to 50% of the total canopy is mature. And then you also asked about survival expectancy. We are seeing an incredible increase in survival with those younger trees. They take on less stress when they're planted, and because they have a smaller root system, they also require less watering and maintenance in their initial establishment years which can be 1 to 3. There's certainly, something to be said with smaller trees taking on a little more deer damage here and there and things like that. But on a across the board basis, we're seeing upwards of 80%. And on certain projects, I would argue above 90% survival in some of those small tree projects. We still see good survival with larger stock trees. They require 2 years of watering versus 1 maybe. And so they're a little more higher maintenance. But survival rates with larger diameter trees, as long as the care is done diligently, we can see 60 to 80% survival on those probably.
One last question. This is more about maybe for anybody who listening to our meetings. Just listening to our meetings. What is the line between when somebody can call and say, is there somebody at the city who can come look at my tree? Or help me with this, compared to you need to contact a private company to do that? Like how do we weave through the helping the resident? What parameters do we use this far? Because that would be a big part of your time.
Yep, it absolutely is. And we've seen an increase with awareness and just awareness of the urban canopy because of storm damage and tree canopy loss, but also just with presence in the community since 2016. The calls that come into me to go look at something have increased pretty significantly over the years and a lot in the last 3 to 5. That question you posed, are you referring specifically to public or right-of-way trees? Or are you talking to anything?
Anything.
Because we get both, and it is not a clear line in most cases. Almost anything that comes in has context to it, and so we have to physically go out and look at it and get eyes on it. We'll receive a phone call that a large limb has come down, and we'll go look at it, and it's something one of my crew members can pick up and put in the truck. And then I'll receive calls about something, a huge tree came down, and we'll go look at it, and it is in fact an entire tree sometimes. So you really have to get on site and do an assessment in person most of the time. We are starting to draw that line with private property stuff. I can't go anywhere without getting questioned about a private tree, no matter what I'm there to look at. But we have seen an increase in both types of calls coming in. And so just about anything that comes in, because of our inventory, we can look it up remotely and see if it came off of this tree, that's a smaller tree, maybe it's just a quick response, or it's something we do in-house. But just about everything that comes in, we need to go get eyes on it. And when we contract that stuff out, as far as like a service request coming in, we still will manage the majority of that workload in-house, just because we'll have a quicker response time than a contract program would, even if it's immature canopy.
Thank you. Applause to all the work that you're getting done on this. It's a lot.
Thank you.
Will?
Your Model 3, option 3, and I guess option 2, internal impacts, additional staff and equipment. I'm assuming that the $1 option or Model 3, the $1 annual rate increase does not cover additional staff and equipment, correct? Or would that cover it?
With the model we have done currently, it does include, I think it was 3 full-time staff and 6 seasonal.
So Model 3.
And a couple different vehicles for more mobilization and support.
So it would cover internal impacts.
I'm sorry.
The $1 annual increase in rate
will cover the additional staff and equipment. Yeah.
That goes for the option 2. It would cover the internal impacts.
Yes, but in Model 2, we don't have additional staff planned into that model. We just know that it'll be something that needs review before we get through that 10-year duration.
Okay.
Steve?
Mike, I always remember the saying from your industry, the best time to have planted a tree was 40 years ago. The next best time is today.
Today.
Obviously, model number 1 is unacceptable. Personally, I like Model 3, the same as you. I do understand the difference in the urban forest rate is, quite a bit more compared to where we're at today. So I guess the one thing I would throw out is consideration. To me, 25 years is still a long time for us to get all these trees planted, because all these trees planted is going to benefit everybody that lives in this city. Whether it's in your front yard, your neighbor's yard, everybody's going to benefit on a long-term basis. So personally, I can support Model 3, but the suggestion or the idea I would throw out is, can we consider something in the middle point between 2 and 3 to shorten that 25 years? Maybe 10 is a little too expensive maybe, but maybe we could find something in the middle that's a little more tolerable, a little better rate. So I don't know if there's something that falls in the middle that makes sense for your department.
Yep.
But I guess that's the idea I would throw out. 25 years is still, in my opinion, too long of a time to get reforested. So.
Excellent,
thank you.
How much do you rely on volunteer labor? Does that help shorten the 25 years? I mean, is there potential for it to shorten the 25 years? If you have a lot of volunteer projects?
The biggest factor to really leverage that timeline is how much private engagement we can get. Second to that would be volunteer efforts and things like that. I would say we don't rely on it as much as we should, but there's quite a bit of logistics that go into just organizing those things. I would say we utilize it as much as possible. When we have volunteer opportunities, we had a volunteer group from RAC on a project this fall, and I prepared twice as many trees as I would for a smaller group to do in 2 hours, and they were done in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So volunteer groups, their efficiency and veracity varies from one group to the next. And so being able to work with a group and identify a group that you can train and coach into the type of execution that you'd like. If we had something like that, we could certainly
That would shorten the 25
rely
years.
on them. Yes, and then absolutely, it's we could do more with more hands. Absolutely.
Mike, 2 questions. First off, would any grants that we can acquire, state, federal, or other, help offset fundamentally the rate increase that you're projecting through these 3 models?
In a large scale, yes. The challenge with grant programs is that they vary from year to year. Some of the things that were available last year are already not for the next fiscal year. And then something new has come up. The grant dollars typically have some type of in-kind or matching dollar requirement, and they almost always require to be implemented on public property. And a lot of times the dollars are only eligible for the expenditure of trees and or maybe tree supplies.
Okay.
So the reason we keep those in-house numbers kind of standard or at a certain rate is because we can utilize the grant funding dollars very easily with staffing projects, because we see the expenditure for the trees and the rest of the labor and everything is in kind or in-house. And then anything in excess that we do to grant dollars, we can budget for.
Is one grant that we are utilizing, but that is going away.
Just going to be for the trees and supplies. It's not going to be for the labor and maintenance thereafter.
Yeah, maintenance as well. That's a good point.
The second question I have, and hopefully I can phrase this correctly, but the cost inputs that you use to derive or model these 3 options, do they include a annual CPI escalator against the cost inputs?
Yes, we put a 5% in there.
Okay. 5% per year? Okay. All right. Thank you. Those were my 2 questions.
Anyone else? Okay, so you're looking for direction and you're proposing Model 2, I personally, I don't have any reason to object to your recommendation. Anyone else have any objection or strong feelings? Or a different feeling on, I know Steve said he prefers Model 3, but anybody else prefer Model 3? You do?
Kind of leaning towards Model 3, or kind of what Steve said too, something in between 2 and 3.
And we can certainly take a little more detailed look into what would fall between those models. And
If I could, Mayor, one of the things, Model 2 is really, this is a starting point.
Yeah.
And Mike had mentioned that this is something that we'll look at annually. For sure, though, we'll be bringing this back to you in 3 years because this will get us that base and get us started on getting those 1,000 trees and maintaining those 1,000 trees each year. But then we'll be able to come back during budget conversations and doing an update of where we are and where we need to go. So we'll bring you along this journey with us. So that's the reason why we
That's a good
chose
point. It
Model
doesn't have to
2
be
is just
permanent.
yeah.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. What's our current urban forestry utility rate monthly?
it's at $4.50.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Anything else to add, or is anyone strongly opposed to starting with Model 2, knowing that it's not permanent and it can be increased at any point in time? We can. All right. Okay, no one's speaking up, so I guess you have your direction.
That sounds good to me.
Anybody else wants to shoot for 2A?
Well, Will
Brought that up, yeah.
Oh, did you? I'm
But
sorry, I missed it.
I see what Kim's saying, that, we could start here and then reevaluate it in a couple of years, and maybe we do have to increase at the time to more.
Okay.
So I'm fine with that.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you
Next
very much.
item is a discussion on recycling and garbage and yard waste utilization. Matt? Hi, Matt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've completed a full year of automated collection. I'm here to give our annual update. If you recall, we started October of 24. Here's a graph of our garbage tonnages. To better illustrate trends from when we started the graph here in October just to see those trends from when we started. When comparing fiscal year 25 versus fiscal year 24, garbage collection or garbage tonnages is up 8.75%. Moving on to the recycling side, same things. Visualize the trends from when we started, and again, fiscal year 25 versus 24, recycling tonnages are up 8.32%. We currently have 12,972 stops, which is an increase of 82 stops from our 6-month update back in May. Currently, I'm running 4 routes daily with an average of 650 stops per truck every day. Current carts that are out, majority of residents are electing for the larger 64-gallon carts on the garbage side, with additionally 3.5% of those have more than one. That trend continues on the recycling side. Majority of residents are choosing the larger 64-gallon cart. Yard waste side, currently we have 4,033 residents that have curbside yard waste, which equates to 31%. Daily stops, it's an average of 800 stops daily for yard waste. Yard waste drop-off site, open 5 days a week, 7 to 3:15. Tuesdays is the exception. It's open till 5:45, and then we're open Saturday 8 to 4:15. When comparing October of 24 versus October of 25 this year, number of visitors is up 116% on Tuesdays. Saturdays for them same years is an increase of 18%. When you're comparing November of 2024 versus November of 25, Tuesdays is increased to 65% of visitors, and then Saturdays is 26%. We're also open 2 Sundays this November, noon to 4. You can see that first Sunday, we had 63 residents utilize that, and then that second Sunday on the 16th, we had 41 residents. Our recycling drop-off facility. Tuesdays open noon to 5:45 and Saturdays 8 to 4:15. Again, comparing October 2024 to October 25, Tuesdays, we've seen an increase of 13%. Saturdays was an increase of 4%. November 24 versus November 25, Tuesdays was actually a 3% decrease. And Saturdays was 13% increase. So options to get rid of your yard waste. You can purchase our yard waste carts, receive that curbside collection, mulching and grinding those leaves before you stick them in the cart does improve what you can get inside those carts. You can also just utilize our free drop-off site at 195 35th Street. Again, open 6 days a week. You can also schedule, we have a special yard waste collection we do on Tuesdays. You can do if you have an abundance of leaves or brush or any yard waste thing related. Additional recycling options. So any Marion resident, whether you receive our curbside service or you don't, anyone can utilize the solid waste agency Monday through Friday, 7 to 4. You can take any additional recycling items there for free. You can visit their website for additional information, but that's available 5 days a week. We're also working with a partnership with Solid Waste Agency. Some may be aware that improperly disposing of any battery, the landfill has weekly, if not daily, fires out there. And we have actually had a fire in one of our garbage trucks because of somebody improperly disposing. It's usually a lithium rechargeable battery. We've had, like I said, we had a fire. One of our operators saw it, smelt it. We were able to take control of it with the assistance of the fire department before it became an issue. But the people throwing away batteries, when it gets crushed, it creates a reaction, makes a fire. So we're working with the Solid Waste Agency, the library, and our recycle drop-off center starting this week. Residents can bring in any batteries that are no longer operable, free of charge. We'll take those and dispose of them properly so we can eliminate that problem. That is all I have. I'm open to questions.
Thank you. Questions? No? Okay. Thank you.
Talk about it.
The next item is a discussion regarding existing brick streets.
Oh. Can we just, before we go off of the garbage summary, I know that Mayor, you have fielded some calls from residents. If council is looking to give staff any sort of direction with respect to yard waste, this would be a good opportunity to kind of have those.
I I didn't know if this is when we wanted to have that discussion or if it was during budgeting, but
It would be helpful to have kind of a temperature of the council, so that way we can have the analysis done and ready to go for.
I think the
budget work
overall sentiment in the community is that this program was a big improvement. People are happy with it. They asked for it. They appreciate it. I do think there's a gap or going backwards in service personally. And I fielded calls from a number of people when it comes to leaf pickup, not necessarily yard waste, but the leaf pickup. And I think that, people are finding themselves with, if they have a lot of trees, and we're planting thousands of trees, and it's the issue is only going to become bigger, I think, as there's a lot of new neighborhoods that don't have many trees, but we're planting lots of trees, and there are trees that are getting larger, and we're going to have, I think, a more of a concern about what people should do with their leaves. And I think that there should be another option, in my opinion, to help them solve that issue. Besides just, well, you need to buy a truck, or you have to find a way to haul it to the yard waste facility. I know that there's the pickup, but in people's minds, they were able to put as many bags as they needed to at the curb, and it was picked up. And now, they either have to pay a lot of money to have them picked up, or they have to find somebody with a truck, or, to me, that's an issue we should see if we can try to solve. And maybe you tell us that it's not solvable, or it's just the way it is. But I know that, we're a team that tries to find the solutions. So I'd like us to at least look at that.
Yeah, I mean, everything's solvable. It might mean if there's an increase in what we do, there might be an increase in fees, but that's usually part of it. But yeah, there's options out there.
Anybody else?
Well, Your Honor, I've received, similar comments as time has gone along, and, we've effectively got 2 fall seasons under our belts at this point for leaf related concerns. I think it would be worthwhile to go through the exercise to say, if we were to provide a time-bound time frame where we would pick up leaves, what would that program look like, and what would be the cost impact? I mean, everybody's got leaves. Well, I don't. I don't, because I just mulch mine in. But there are people that have many multiple trees on their property, and that just isn't an option relative to how they would dispose of them. I think it would be worth at least taking a look and doing a preliminary development of a program, and let's give it some consideration from not only what does it look and smell like, but what's the cost impact.
Yeah, I would support Grant's comments and Nick's 100% to look at it. I think it really depends upon the cost increase that would be affected by that. Because you do a cost increase, now you're passing that on to everybody throughout the entire city. Okay, so I lost my trees in the derecho, so I don't have that big of a leaf problem that I can't take care of in my yardie. But where from my personal experience, I make a handful of trips, 5 or 6 trips, cutting back my annuals and my perennials throughout the entire yard that don't fit in a yardie. In other words, I can't, if you want to cut them, you're going to cut them in a weekend, and it fills up a yardie pretty darn quick. So I don't have leaves, but I still have other things that used to be picked up at the curb. But even before that, I still had so much, I still had to haul them myself. So I think you're solving part of a problem, not all of the problem that people throughout the city may have had before. So I could still have put out multiple yard waste at the curb before that I can't do. So I don't know. I think it's solving a problem for some of the people, but not all of the people. So it'll depend upon the cost increase, at least from my vantage point.
Anyone else? Ready?
Mike, could you go back and show us the slide that shows the number of yard waste receptacles we have out there? I'm just curious as to the inventory we have, if there was another option brought into play that would not utilize those yardies.
So we have 4,033 of the yard waste containers out there, which is about what the model predicted. I think it was 30% that the model predicted, so we're just slightly over that.
And forgive me, I don't have one, so I can't remember, but if I'm correct on this, they're all the same color. We just changed the lids on them, right?
Correct.
So these could be 4,000 of them that could be repurposed back into an inventory if we had some other kind of alternative. Worst case scenario, we go back to a bag system just for an option in there. I'm just throwing out ideas. I was just curious to know what our inventory was and how that impacts the cost of those that have already been fulfilled. So thanks.
And I think, I mean, the yard waste, I mean, for me, I think for a lot of people, the yard waste receptacles are working fine. It's just that limited time period when you have a lot of leaves to get rid of. And it's impractical to say, oh, you know, try to fit them all, even if you grind them or whatever, to fit them into one. If you have lots of large trees, to fit them into a receptacle, or you have to buy a second one, even then, that may not be enough. Like I want us to see if there's a solution just for that limited time period when people are trying to get rid of their leaves. Lots of communities have programs for that. I don't think it'd be hard to find all the alternatives, but I just, you know, I think it's one area that, you know, it's worth looking at and to see if we can improve the service, because in a lot of people's minds, we went backwards in service in that, it's just in that narrow scope of just what to do with your leaves. It's not yard waste in general. You know, generally I can figure out what to do with my yard waste. You know,
This is such a difficult one because everybody only needs the leaves for 4 weeks out of the year. So what do you do for the other 11 months with a yard waste if you don't?
So I don't know, but all cities deal with it.
Right.
So I think the models are out there that we
Right.
can look at to see if there's something that's workable here. You know, so at least we can say we looked at it. You know, we can say we did our due diligence, looked at it to see if there was something workable to deal with just that one challenge, to improve the program.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Question.
Yes, sir.
At one point when we were purchasing the new trucks, or at some point, maybe before we even started purchasing the trucks, it was talked about how they could be retrofitted to have leaf pickup. Did that happen?
I do not know anything about that, but I can certainly look into it.
It might have been before you were in this position. So, okay.
Yeah, it's been a discussion before. Okay.
We have a very small leaf pickup, but that's to clean out intakes. It's not to pick them up everywhere.
Oh, you have like a
small
an
one.
attachment or something that.
It's its own separate unit. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Is that?
Yeah, I guess the only other thing that we did hear a little bit from Councilman Brandt was the drop off for the recycling. With the numbers not increasing that much, is that still something that you wanted to look into? I know there's kind of I believe it was just a couple hours that you have right away. Correct. That we have kind of a peak, and most of it's recycling, is yard waste drop off, and the recycling isn't as busy. But I know that at one time you had a resident that was pushing for more hours on the recycling drop off.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that from not just one over the last few years, but I think it's good to have a little bit more extended time and continue to do that, because word of mouth will spread that. So that might be why you haven't had a huge peak or huge increase, is because it's new and people just don't know still, because you don't know unless you're needing it and wanting to find out. So I don't see a reason to go back. I would continue to offer that and hey, if in a year or two more and it still doesn't go up, then maybe not. I mean, you can still advertise it a little bit more too. I also had Something about yard waste in a neighboring community that in the winter you can call and have your yardies picked up. I don't know if that's anything we've ever talked about before. You could get on a schedule for
storage purposes?
No. If you still need, like if the snow's all melted in January and you're out in your yard cleaning up and you can fill your yardie, you can call and the city will come by and have you on the schedule for that week to pick up your yardie.
We don't discuss that, but
Put that on the list.
we'll look at our comparables.
After
and see
leaf
what others
collection.
do.
Okay.
It'll be an ongoing.
Are we ready for brick streets? Mike?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm interpreting what I heard at the last meeting, and I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. So it was kind of take this old section that's highlighted in black, use that to reconstruct and harvest the bricks that are there, stockpile them, and then bring them down and do this U shape down here is the direction that I was hearing from city council. So with that, what I recommend is modifying the proposed or the policy. There's also discussion of, similar to what Iowa City does, is if those bricks are already covered in HMA, that we consider them lost bricks. So I'm modifying that as well. And then at the end of the policy, in the procedure, I'm actually saying that once we get sufficient brick, then we would do those streets that would form the U shape in the historic district of the Terrace Park. And so we would have it right there in the policy that council would adopt. So it's giving direction as to what we're doing with those bricks in the future. So this does use slightly more bricks than the previous estimate. So with what we have and what we'll use, we'll still have enough bricks for what bricks are exposed to do the plan, doing the U shape. It is a little bit of an increase in dollars. Again, that's because some of the streets are a little bit wider with parking on both sides. We could tailor that down if you only want to do the main line and not do the parking, or only do the parking. We could narrow that down, but right now we went curb to curb, just having a curb and gutter section that's concrete and then the rest brick. Obviously this would go over many years to reconstruct all those areas in the black area to get to that point. But if you feel like we're on the right track, then I could bring this back to city council for adopting the policy.
Thoughts? Great.
Well, it certainly meets the objective I've been interested in, is focusing in on just a historic district that we have, and not to try to really stray too far out of that boundary. So I like this plan.
Steve?
Can you clarify the dollars that you had there? So estimate goes, is that the total dollars, or is that the additional dollars for doing it as a brick street?
That's the additional for doing it for Brick Street. That's ignoring all the other infrastructure that we'd have to be doing. There's no storm sewer on some of those streets. If there's sanitary that needs to be improved, stuff like that.
That's just to make, so it's $1 million a block.
Yeah. The
To make
streets
a
are
brick
little bit-
street.
Yeah.
Additional.
Yeah, the streets are just a little bit wider. You can kind of tell, it's hard to tell, I know on the scale, but 11th Street is wider, 9th is a little bit wider. I believe 12th is the same width. So it's just because you're getting a little bit more in there.
Did that really change a lot? I mean, I thought at one point it was 400,000 extra to do brick.
It was an extra, it was either 400 or 500,000 a block, but it's just because we're going wider with it. So north of that 11th Street isn't as wide.
So I agree with Grant's assessment in the area and minimizing that. So I think that was some of the feedback I provided. I'm not sure the additional $3 million to do that, in my opinion, is not the best place to spend that much money. I would rather see a plan maybe with a block, maybe out of its 9th Avenue, and maybe some other enhancement of the other north-south streets. To me, $3 million to keep 3 blocks like that is going to be too much money. I think there's going to be plenty of other places as a community we could spend that money.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to have clarity on the 3 million. That's to do brick, correct? What's the guesstimate of cost if we were just to resurface in our standard way? What I'm trying to understand is what's the differential between standard versus brick?
Yeah, so I can have Jake run some much more detailed breakdown on that and bring that back to council if you want to dive into the numbers a little bit more. The hard part is a lot of this is in a very old part of town that there is no storm sewer. And so a lot of that, we got to bring storm sewer up. So if you wanted a cost estimate for maybe doing this entire area, we could do that just to give you a ballpark number.
Well, if we're going to resurface it in our standard mode, that would be HMA?
It would be, but I would say some of these sections, we can't do that because the street's in such bad condition.
I understand, but if we're going to resurface it, you'll have subsurface cost drivers. What I'm just interested in is whatever the condition of the street is and whatever work we do to improve it, subsurface and surface. What I'm interested in is to utilize, if it's asphalt, what is just the cost of the asphalt in that total work scope versus what's the cost of laying the brick?
I don't have that for you tonight, but we can get that.
You see what I'm trying to do? I'm just trying to isolate it to what's the material that the road surface is going to be composed of. You see what I'm trying to narrow down that scope element. What's the cost differential? Because I'm trying to understand what really drives 3 million.
Well,
and
the
change.
concrete base under the bricks.
Yeah,
So
so I mean,
it's
if you
not
think of Farmer State Bank on both sides of it, we reconstructed that where we put new curb and gutter in there. We left the bricks that were there, and we overlaid that. Here, I don't know that we have the room to do that, just because in this case, there's sidewalk that's at the back of curb. So I don't have a lot of room to adjust in the right of way because it's so tight. So it's just that there's a lot more variables.
Okay. Well, I guess again, my point of asking is just to understand what is the isolated cost impact of just using bricks. And what I'm understanding, Mary, your comment about we have to have a concrete substrate, which you set those on, which we wouldn't have to have if we were using asphalt.
If you want this U shape in here, my recommendation would be is we do a complete reconstruct, get all the underground utilities in there. Then we lay a concrete base. So it's basically you're pouring a concrete street. Then there's actually an asphalt setting bed that gets put in there. And then the bricks go on top of that.
Mike, I think the question is, if you were to do the U shape, and would you do a full reconstruction?
Yes.
Okay. If you were to do the full reconstruction, what's the full reconstruction under normal circumstances versus normal reconstruction with the bricks?
Yep. And I can get that number. I just don't have it tonight.
Okay.
The differential, yeah, I mean, I can have Jake double check that, but that was the differential was the 2.2 to 3.3.
And didn't we talk the last time, last time we talked about this not that long ago? Or didn't we talk about potentially just doing decorative strips or doing other things with the bricks rather than a full?
Yep, and we can certainly go that way. Just at the last council meeting, that was the direction I felt I was getting, and I could be
Was to do the
corrected.
U?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Everyone's still of that opinion. I mean, we need to give them some clear direction, so we're not floundering on this.
Well,
I know where Steve stands. Anyone else? Anyone else have strong opposition to the U shape? Will, go ahead.
Not opposition, no, I would be in favor of doing the U. I don't know if it necessarily has to be full curb to curb. It could be concrete and so just, I think
Some use of brick in there?
in the road, yes. I don't know if I would be satisfied with just strips or whatnot and like for crosswalks
Crosswalks
or anything like that. I would still think we need to preserve the brick roads that we have. At least this in the historic district, but I think the final design of it all could be figured out in the future with the costs. But I would be in favor of doing just those and then getting 11th Street and all those streets up there that have been pushed off being done because of the brick streets for the whole 10 years I've been up here.
We need
That,
to
get them
figure
done
this out.
sooner than later and saving all the bricks that we can and then figuring out if that's the right route to do when it's time. Because isn't 11th Street that you have in red, that's all just like 2 years ago was that?
Yeah, but I mean, that's gonna take time to do all this too, to harvest all those
Yeah.
bricks so we have them, so.
I mean, what, 10 years out from
By
being
that
done?
time, yeah, it might be time to redo 11th Street, so.
I mean, I would like to see it stay like that and just figure that out, how it's gonna be. Obviously, I won't be up here in 10 years when that's being decided, but I would like that to be the route to go forward right now.
Okay, everyone have a different thought? Right, Steve? We know where Steve is, I mean.
No, my opinion is I like the 3 blocks.
Oh.
I'm not in favor of spending an additional 3 million to make all 3 blocks all brick. So if there's some, to Will's comment, if there's some intermediate plan to still enhance it with the bricks, I'm fine with that. But for $3 million, I think as a city, we can find other places that money can be more wisely invested for our city. So fine to support it to an extent, but not $3 million worth.
Go ahead.
Well, I still would like to have a little bit more of a breakdown as to the cost differentials as I try to describe them. And Ryan, you, I think, interpreted what I was attempting to say, which suggests you read my mind, which is scary. So anyway, because I do agree with Steve, if it's just to do bricks and everything else is equal, if it's $3 million, well, then we better look at scope change. Okay, but let's at least just have a little more, a few more numbers to stare at.
Yeah, we can dive into it a little bit more and bring it back.
Yeah, I think most of us, or all of us probably agree that, in the oldest town in Lynn County, there's, we should have some emphasis on preserving the history, and the brick streets are a big part of it. And if we can do that to some extent, that, with this U shape, where we're preserving that history in the brick street without spending an exorbitant amount of money. I mean, if there's some element of that can be done with brick, that would be good.
Yep. Now we can run some more numbers and then we can look at different alternatives. Say, for example, 11th Street, maybe we only do the travel portion as brick and the parking as concrete and show different options too.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience. Final item on the agenda this evening is the public forum, which is a time for comments from members of the public on any topic. Anyone here to address council, please come forward. Hello, sir. Okay, wonderful.
Leon Pallison, 1975 31st Street. Forgive my appearance. I've just went through cataract surgery this morning. My eye has not recovered yet, so I'm the one-eyed bandit. Did the council receive the letter that I turned into the clerk yesterday? Yeah, yes or no?
Emailed, yep.
Yes.
Okay. I have in my hand a petition that I took door to door. Unbeknownst to me, I knocked on some of your very neighbors on your streets. I did not do that intentionally. I have a business that I have business dealings with many people in the city. And there's some streets that I have more contacts that personally know me. And I've chosen those streets to go down. And the survey, and I turn this in to.
Yeah, please.
It's a limited petition, but it tells a unique story. It's limited because of the time frame in which I was able to do that. 74% surveyed on that survey say they support the rebuilding of the Willwood Pool. 4% of the surveyed people say, and they told me that they are in support of the proposed Aqua Center. 22% of my responses were, I don't get involved in such things. Marion's taxes are too high and I'm moving. My friends work for the city and I don't want them to be discriminated against. I work for the city and have voiced my no vote already. Majority said, I need to do some more research. They received your council's email so that he could email you directly. And another response was, I need to get more involved in the city activities. One responder says, I don't want any pool at all. Taxes are too high. My biggest concern is about the CIP. The Marion Capital Improvement Plan shows the direction of where the city is going. And it is not going to, it is going to the Willowwood, or the Aquatic Center down on 31st Street. The citywide survey that came out months ago told a story. This survey is kind of painting another story. It's saying that, hey, residents don't want that multi-featured, multifunctional aquatic center at that cost. A cheaper alternative, which seems to be ignored, which I just found today from Ryan, that they were considering the rebuilding of the city pool. Well, that's not what I see. I see the capital improvement plan. That is the direction where the city is going. And in the last city council, the CIP had, for all the aquatic center activities, it said proposed. And then $2 million for land acquisition, X amount, multi-millions for research. In the current CIP, that title proposed has been taken away. That tells me that the city is going forward in pursuing the aquatic center. There's, in that plan, there's $2 million to be spent proposed to be spent in 2026, half then, half in 2027. As a resident, and as a result of this petition,
You have 1 minute remaining.
there is a disparity. We would like to know that. We would like you to take this position seriously. It appears that the Aquatic Center is taking the issue of, it said no to the entire project. Now, are we going to get year after year after year of bond to get the entire thing as a whole? It seems that is the direction where you are going right now. We want you to seriously hold your horses, take a serious look at the Willowwood Pool. That property will contain the aspirations of creating a humongous center. We just want a pool, not a humongous center at the extreme cost. Please take this under consideration. This petition will continue until, if the CIP, how,
Your time is up.
thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for your comments. We appreciate your engagement. Just as a general comment, to reiterate to the public, there's been no decision made to go forward with the aquatic center. In fact, the opposite happened with this council voting to put a hold on it and to ask the staff to go back and do more work, do more homework, come up with other options, other alternatives. That's where we are. The aquatic center, as proposed, would never happen without a vote from the public. The decision of the city council, if it came to a vote to the city council, which we decided to hold off, again, for the reasons I just stated, the decision would be whether or not to put it on the ballot for a referendum for a decision by the voters of Marion. That's who would make the decision to proceed with an aquatic center. So I just want that clear for everyone. I will leave it to the staff, maybe to meet with you, sir, after the meeting to explain what discrepancies you might be seeing in the CIP or what the items that are included in the CIP are. But as far as the city council is concerned and the staff, we are all clear that the aquatic center project is on hold pending further research and further options being brought back to the city council. Some of those might be the rebuilding of the Willow Pool. We don't know yet. But we certainly have heard what people have said. We did have in a survey that had several thousand people respond, 54% say they would vote for the aquatic center. We thought that that wasn't sufficient. We want to go back and do more work. So I hope that this clarifies that for everyone. Anyone else to address council, please come forward.
There.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
My name is Nathan Bechtel. I live off of Antrim Court, which is in between Robbins Road and Tower Terrace Road. I'd like to apologize. I am not a good public speaker, especially sober, so I'm going to get through this pretty quickly here.
It's fine.
So my problem is I cannot leave my house and get to C Avenue without having to do a U-turn anywhere. If I leave Newcastle to the north, I'm forced to go east a quarter mile through the Albernet roundabout all the way back to C Avenue, which is where I go to work every day. If I want to take Robbins Road, I go down to Tower Terrace Road eventually, having to go east, do another U-turn, and then go through the C Avenue roundabout. And recently, last week, there was kind of a shortcut through a Cedar Rapids neighborhood, and it became such a problem. They got so much traffic that they actually put a barricade up. So if you're traveling west on Robbins Road, you can no longer travel through their neighborhood, which I don't blame them. It turned into a highway. It's not safe for kids. And I spoke with Jeff Morrow, who's one of the project engineers for the whole Tower Terrace project. In my neighborhood, the street to the north of me is Kettering Road. It wraps around to the north, and then it's stopped at a cornfield. The plan is to eventually acquire that 10 acres of property and connect to Tower Terrace Road. I don't understand why we couldn't have an intersection at Newcastle Road instead of there, where we don't have to acquire any land to connect my neighborhood with Tower Terrace Road. Like a few months ago, we had to call 911 because my son had a seizure. How much faster would it have been for him to get to my house if he could have turned left onto Newcastle instead of going down Albernet over to Robbins Road, up Newcastle? And my problem is not a huge problem. There's 71 homes in my neighborhood. To the south of me, there's probably another 150 that are affected by this. It just seems like an easy solution to just have an intersection there. Or we could widen the pedestrian walkway like 3 feet so my truck would fit across it. Whatever sounds good to you. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate everything all you guys do to keep this a great community to live in. Thank you again.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And I'm sure our staff are taking notes and someone will follow up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to address council, please come forward.
Thought he was gonna stop me.
Not allowed, Joe.
I'm Joe Spinks, as you probably know, 3165 29th Avenue. And thank you for letting me get up here and speak. Council, city staff, I appreciate it. What I wanted to talk about is this guy right here. I wanted to thank him so much for the service that you've done for us. And I want everyone to know that he is appreciated, and thank you for serving. Being on council is a real dedicated job. You've got your real job, but you've got this as well, and a family. And I know exactly how that can be sometimes. So thank you for serving on that, Randy. And I wish you the best. I would also like to challenge you, and I've got on a couple of the city boards. I would like to challenge you to serve on a board. I'm sure all these people are gonna go, yeah, get him. They probably got your name on the top of the list. So, but anyway.
We're gonna give him a little bit of rest.
Well, thank you for that. And I will wish you all a Merry Christmas, and God bless you all. Thank you very much for letting me talk. I put you on the spot.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else to address council, please come forward. Okay, I don't see anyone standing up to come forward, so this brings to conclusion that part of the meeting, and we will proceed to council comments. We'll start with Steve.
A couple of things. So come this Friday, starting after the 19th, all of our students and kids in town will have a full 2 weeks off. So look for that. The ice loop is staying busy. I'm sure Nick will have more comments about that, but I had a few granddaughters up there and they had a really good time and bought the multi-pass to go up there. So I think that's great. And I've been receiving a lot of very positive comments about Uptown Marion and how it looks from non-Marion people. I mean, I hear it all the time from Marion people, but it's always more gratifying hearing it from people that do not live in Marion, how much they like it, how much it looked. And so they just thought it was a wonderland. So I think that's really good. So again, I wish everybody happy holidays.
Great.
Well, I'll start with the happy holidays to everyone. I hope that if you're traveling, your travels are safe, and I hope that your time with friends and family are filled with fun and reflection with the season. The second thing that I would just comment on, and this is for the public record that will endure forever. Randy, I want to thank you for the counsel and guidance that you've given me, especially on some of the matters that we have worked together on. I was extremely gratified that when necessary, you recognized whether or not you needed to use simple words and speak slowly, and I appreciated that. So thank you, and thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. I can't believe this is here, and I thought, wow, it looked like we were going to have a pretty solid white Christmas here for a few days. And I don't know how many years it's been since we've had a white Christmas. It's been a while, but I thought we're going to have a white Christmas, and now I'm not sure that we are. But thank you to our streets department again. They've done another heavy lift. Here we've gone. It's been a pretty unpredictable early winter. I guess we're still in fall, aren't we? Isn't it like the first day of winter is like this week? So we're still at the end of fall. We've had a very active weather pattern, but thank you. Whether it's picking up garbage and recycling with all the snow piles, keeping the streets clean. We know it's been a lot. So thank you for that. Thank you for everybody who made the Peppermint Walk and Christmas in the Park happen. All of our staff and team that put that together. I'll leave the rest to the mayor, but we know that's a heavy lift. And two other things. Yes, thank you, Randy. It has been a pleasure and I appreciate it. I used to get to sit between you both and then they moved me over, but I appreciate all I've learned from you and all of the information and advice and your service, because we know how much that takes. Quick, Nate, thank you for coming forward and having the conversation that we had, following up on that, and just really being so educated on the topic on that street. And I appreciate you following through on our conversation. And finally, this is also very important. There's a lot of cookies left. So please take and eat some cookies. And there might even be a little coffee. And if I have to take that back and that craft's got coffee in it, then it'll spill. So please have some coffee too if it's still warm. So thank you.
Happy holidays to all. I had this big long speech about Randy that I was going to say, but I've become a big softie after having kids and having my grandson. So, Randy, thank you for all that you've done. I'm going to miss you up here.
Thank you.
Been 9 years up here with me, so I've been up here the whole time with you, and I appreciate everything you've done and love you, man.
Thank you.
Ready?
My turn?
Your turn.
Well, thank you. I'm going to keep this short because I know it's been a long afternoon for everybody, but I do want to express a huge gratitude to the council members. The previous ones, Joe, you were up here when I started. When I was first round, when I got on the city council, it was by a vacant seat, and our mayor had just been elected at that time. And so that process brings you forward where you basically interview for the job in front of your council, and a selection is made. And lo and behold, I got it and was asked to come up. I thought it would be a week onboarding process, and now the seat was open and you took your seat immediately. And that seat is where Will sits today. That would be Ward 4. And Paul Draper sat in the seat I did. And I looked at Paul because I see our agenda and we all read our parts up here. And I looked at that. I looked at Paul. Paul looked at me. And I kind of had that, what have I just signed up for look. And I'll never forget, Paul tapped me on the thigh and he says, "We got you, kid. We got you." And that was 10 years ago. So I am very grateful. I'm very proud to have served. And, when you work with individuals like this, you become part of their families. And that means a lot. It was tough to walk away, but I'm going to pursue some other professional designations that I want for my professional life and my career. And that's going to take some time, and that'll take me away from this schedule. But I want to thank my wife. We all, when we serve at this capacity, there's a lot of late nights, and we sometimes forget to recognize our family. And so we want to make sure that we owe them a large deal of gratitude as well, because public serving is, it's not 8 to 5, so it's a long job. Anyway, thank you. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to the council and also the public. Without their votes, I wouldn't have been awarded the opportunity to sit up here for all these years. And sometimes all you can say is thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Randy. You're right. This job is, well, although it's perceived as part-time, it's all the time, along with your regular job. And we appreciate all your time that you put in and all your input. serving on the various committees along with being on the council. We're gonna give you a couple of months off and then we'll put you on a board or something. Because you still have a lot of value to add, so, okay. And by the way, Randy was a volunteer firefighter, right? For how many years?
8 years.
8 years
8 years.
on our department, so. Randy has served this community for a long time. I do want to go back briefly to the Aquatic Center. It's important for the public to know that the ideas, projects, decisions aren't made on a whim or because Mayor Nick thought it was a good idea or Ryan Waller thought it was a good idea or anybody on the city's team thought it was a good idea. Decisions are made based on studies, lots of planning, data, expert opinion, gauging the community input. The Aquatic Center is just one of those, but it goes for everything that we do. And the community should be proud of that our decisions are data-based, expert-informed, well-founded decisions. The Aquatic Center started as an idea through the community visioning, which took input from thousands of people in our community. And then the staff saw that as a priority of the community that coincided with our need to upgrade our aquatic center, our pool. I appreciate that there are some opinions that think we don't need a pool. I don't think there are many in the community who would agree that we don't need a pool. What shape that takes, is another issue that we will work on. But the idea of the water park style aquatic center was developed with lots of input from the community, lots of engagement, lots of feedback sessions, lots of expert opinion and consultation. Staff put many hours in taking the community's vision and putting it into a project. Now, the end result was that the project, as the community envisioned it and dreamed it, came out to be more costly than we initially had estimated. And so the city council, that's when we decided to put a pause on it and ask the staff to go back and do more work on it. So that's where that's at. But the community should understand and actually be proud of the fact that the decisions made in this city are very professional, very much in the open, very transparent. We encourage everyone to be engaged and to ask the questions and to learn how those decisions are brought about and what's behind them all and all of the preparation and planning and thought that goes into all of the decisions. You saw tonight many discussions that we had on various topics, and that's all part of the planning process. It's all part of what we go through to reach an ultimate plan or project or decision. That guarantees that the end result, it may not please every single person in the community. It's really hard because we want to please everyone. We want everybody to be happy. But we do what we think is best for the overall community and for the future of the community. And we do have a very good response in our biannual surveys that people in general are happy in Marion, 95% to be exact in the last survey. So that's all I have to say about that, but I do appreciate and value everyone's opinions. We just encourage everyone to continue to educate themselves and ask questions and to learn about the city processes and how decisions are made. On the topic of Uptown Marion, what Steve said is very true. There's not a day that goes by, or maybe even not an hour that goes by that someone somewhere, wherever I am in the region, comments on what's going on in Uptown Marion, what's going on in Marion. The region truly looks at Marion as setting the pace, as creating an amazing place for people to live, giving people great opportunities, providing the example for other communities. And one example of that was the Christmas in the Park and Peppermint Walk last Friday. If you missed that, you missed an amazing experience. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience of community, of people coming together to enjoy themselves. And it was so well put together by the chamber, the volunteers, and all of the sponsors who contributed to help make it happen. And couldn't have been more proud than that night to just stand back and just observe thousands of people coming to Uptown and just taking part in that wonderful holiday celebration and tree lighting. And of course, the big hit, besides the lighting of the tree and Santa Claus, was the ice loop. So as all of the data and the studies and the preparation for building that ice loop in the plaza showed, it's been a big hit, and people across, not only across the region, but across Iowa have been talking about it and congratulating Marion on having such a wonderful asset to bring people out in the wintertime and give them opportunities to enjoy themselves, to activate that that space that hadn't been used. So congratulations to everyone, and thanks for all your support on that. With that, I just want to thank our staff, our city council, our community, for all of you helping Marion be what it is today. When I talk about Team Marion, I'm not talking about only the city council. I'm talking about all our community partners, our entire staff, our residents, anyone who is contributing and adding value in any way to what this city has become is part of Team Marion, and we are all doing it together. We're all moving the city forward. We're all making it an outstanding community where actually people do want to live in and businesses want to be in. We see that all around us. We have challenges that are caused by growth, but I think we are responding to those challenges very well, and maintaining what people love about this community as the city grows quickly. I want to thank everyone for everything that you've done this year to make this city great. And if you're celebrating a holiday in the next few weeks, happy holiday to you and your family and your loved ones. Merry Christmas to those who are celebrating Christmas. And Sarah has one more thing to add.
Well, I forgot to bring this up, but congratulations to the mayor and to our city manager for your placement or landing on the CBJ's most influential in the corridor. So I want to make sure that was recognized. It came out 2 days ago, and we thank you for that. I know you've been on it for multiple years, and you have, and it's a testament to Marion's leadership in the corridor and what we can do. So I wanted to make sure.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
With that, this is our last meeting of 25, and we'll see you in 2026. Grab a cookie on the way out.
Or two.